Lesson 9. The Forum Romanum. As these brooding remains show, the Roman Forum can be a very evocative place in the right circumstances. However, any ancient Roman viewing the remains of the Forum today would probably be moved to tears. The Forum, once the very heart of Rome and her empire, has been vandalized into the few pathetic remains which we see today. However, the Vandals, the Germanic tribe which conquered Rome in late antiquity, left the Roman Forum largely intact. The actual vandalizing was done by the Romans of the Renaissance, who treated this irreplaceable part of their heritage as a quarry for building stone. The two intact buildings visible here are the Senate House on the left, which is reconstructed, and the Temple of Antoninus and Fausta, which was not demolished because it had become a church. Let us take a stroll through the Forum, starting from outside at the Colosseum, which to the Romans signified the area which included the Flavian Amphitheatre, the Arch of Constantine, and the Colossus, a massive statue of the sun god Helios. Entry to the Forum was under the Arch of Titus, with Hadrian's massive temple of Venus and Rome to one's right, and the Palatine Hill, home of the emperors, looming ahead and to the left. Within the Forum, at the foot of the Palatine, was the Shrine of Vesta and the House of the Vestals, of which now only a few statues, presumably of former Vestal virgins, remain. Almost opposite, on the other side of the Sacra Via, the most prestigious street in Rome, is the Temple of Antoninus and Fausta, still intact today, though with a later superstructure added. From there one proceeds past the Regia, the house of the Pontifex Maximus, and the Temple of Castor and Pollux, and the Julian Basilica, the remains of which basilica can be seen in the centre of this picture, with the remaining columns of the Temple of Castor and Pollux just to the right of the Arch of Severus. The Aemilian Basilica was opposite on the north side of the Forum, just before the Comitium. The Comitium was an area which included the Curia, Rome's Senate House. The basilicas, the Julian and Aemilian, were where court cases were held, and like the rest of the Forum, these were generally packed with a busy crowd. In fact, so packed did the Forum Romanum become that later emperors had to expand the available area by adding a succession of fora to the north, through the middle of which some idiot in the modern era thought it would be a good idea to build a road. The open space in front of the Curia was, in the classical era, filled with statues and monuments, including an Arch of Domitian which has vanished without trace. In this space Cicero gave his speeches. So did Julius Caesar and Tiberius Gracchus. Nero walked here, as did Caligula, Brutus, and almost any other famous or infamous Roman one cares to mention, though where Cicero's roster once stood is today the Arch of the Emperor Septimus Severus. The Capitoline Hill still stands behind the arch, though the temples of Concord and Saturn, that's the one to the left, are now in ruins. In this picture, incidentally, you see in the foreground the rostra, which was moved to this new location during the imperial era. In the background, on the hill, we see the tabularium, Rome's record offices, and with these probably also contained the Senate library, which Tacitus consulted in the writing of his histories.